right, don't go anywhere. Today on Cliff's Notes, we have a special guest, Cliff the Second. We'll be coming right back to you. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it.
That's right. We guarantee it. We guarantee it. Isn't that right, Travis?
That is correct. We guarantee that. We can guarantee that much.
Very good. Well, I'm excited today. We're in the new studio. It's something different.
Man, look at this. Is this not beautiful?
It's incredible.
Look at downtown New York City. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you what. There's the World Trade Center.
There you go.
Man, all
there
this
you
stuff
go.
over here is beautiful.
I thought you guys would like it. You know, only the best for the best 2 clients.
Well, cool.
Well, man, I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. I'm just a lot nervous. I don't know if you can tell or not, but
if you hadn't figured out, I'm on the wrong side of the street today, right? I'm supposed to be sitting in that chair, but today is turnaround day.
It's turnaround day. So we're going to – actually, I've been waiting to do this for a long, long time. I've been wanting to interview C2 for a long, long time now, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to do so. So let's get after it, right?
Let's get it. Let's hear it.
So with most of your guests that you have on the show – you always like to start by going back and taking it back into, really kind of how you started. So if you'll do me a favor and kind of go through what that was like for you growing up in the 60s and just kind of talk about your...
The 60s? Damn, you do want to go back a long way. This is before you were even a glimmer in your mom's eyes, right? So let's see, back in the 60s. Well, I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much. And I thank my lucky stars for that every day. Grew up modestly. My parents scraped, scratched, and borrowed and begged to get me through a private school. I went to St. Mark's for 12 years, and was a wonderful experience. Got to meet some of the finest people now that are my age. A lot of them are involved in the city here. Ross Perot Jr., Lee Kleiman's on city council, the Huffines family. I could go on and on and on. I mean, the whole class was really, everybody in there has done something great. So back in the day, when I was growing up, I liked to do, some different things. I played sports, and, we had, St. Mark's was a prep school, so we had a lot of hard academics to keep up with and things like that. But one thing I picked up on is started in the band, played clarinet, violin, and then I got into guitar. And there was a guy named Tom Lang, I think it was, who was a couple of years older than me, that was really, really good. I mean, he was one of those guys, and back then we had long hair and stuff, and this guy could play like Led Zeppelin, like, you were listening to Robert Plant play guitar.
Really?
Yeah, I
really?
mean, he was really a badass. So I got into playing guitar, and sort of my claim to fame back then was I actually got to play in a band. I'm not gonna embarrass any of my classmates, but we actually did get to play a gig at Steve Miller's mother's house, because Steve Miller was an alum. He graduated, well, he actually got kicked out, but he would have graduated in 61 from St. Mark's. I think he finished at Hillcrest. And then also Boss Skaggs, he had a band at St. Mark's called the Marksmen. So back in the day, that's what I did. And, it was a great life, small school. The only thing is that we were all guys, and the only other all-girls school was Hockaday. Fortunately, I lived close to Hockaday, so I got to meet some of those young Hockadaisies over there, and still have some very good friends that graduated from Hockaday at the time. But it was a very tremendous experience going to St. Mark's and then going on from there. So
what was it like after St. Mark's?
After St. Mark's,
yeah.
Well,
so
I applied. Yeah, I mean, the college prep thing, everybody was trying to get into a great school and stuff. So I applied to a bunch of them. I applied to Stanford, Harvard, Yale, MIT, Rensselaer, Polytech and Rice and a couple of others. And so I didn't get into the Ivy League schools, but I got into the Ivy League School of the South, which is Rice University. So I must have been one of those 5%ers. You know, every school kind of takes a chance, rolls the dice on some people. I mean, I had good grades and stuff, but I mean, some of the kids I went to school with there were just, I mean, unbelievable. They were really, really smart guys. So I wound up going to Rice. Had a wonderful experience there. Kind of took the 10-year program, I guess. I started in 77, finally graduated in 87. In between those two dates, there are some things I can tell you, some things I can't. But needless to say, I had a great time, had a lot of really good life experiences. And it was about that time that I actually got my real estate license back in 87. So that would be how many, 33 years ago, I guess, right?
Yeah, already like 33 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but Rice was great. I went in, moved back to Dallas once, got a degree up here at UT Dallas, got a EE electrical engineering degree from Rice, and went on through, got an MBA in finance and entrepreneurship. Had some cool stuff go on, did a summer internship in South Africa. Went to work on Wall Street after that with a little firm called Kidder Peabody, which was had just been acquired by GE Capital, and was in high net worth investments for individuals, and did some capital formation. Moved back to Houston. This story's endless, man. I'm telling you, just I'm trying to make it fast,
days,
but
right?
yeah, it could go on for days. So, but that was it. And so I started in real estate technically in 1987. That was when I started.
So, your mom. You talk about your mom. Used to be
My
in
mom,
real estate.
Yeah. So for those of you from Dallas, you may be familiar with that little White House that is over at the corner of Preston Road and Northwest Highway. And it used to be known as Ebby's house. It still is, and bless her heart. Gosh, she'd be 110, I guess, by now. She's a wonderful lady. But my mom was one of the agents back in the day, back in the 70s. Who was working with. She did a lot of relocation for IBM. That's in fact when Mr. Perot sold EDS mom was involved in relocating a lot of executives and things, and so that whole era was really interesting back in the day. Of course, for those of you in real estate, you remember. If you knew anybody back then, we had those big MLS books that came out once a week. Sometimes brokers would sit around with 3x5 cards, like they were just saying, here's a listing that I have, and so forth and so on. But that was where Mom, bless her heart, God, she was a great realtor, and I saw how she could work, and I couldn't figure it out because she would go to work pick me up from school, go show a house, and then go home and then go write a contract. And back then they were doing it on, check it out. You remember carbon paper? Terrelvis, do you know what carbon paper is?
You know what? I've heard of it before, but I can't guarantee that I know what it is.
Okay, well, it's the stuff that goes in between two pieces of paper so that when that typewriter key hits the first paper, it makes a copy of it on the second sheet.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the problem with that is if you screwed something up, you had to start all over because they didn't have whiteout or anything like that. So, it was a real challenge. And she used to write contracts up on one page, right? Which is, these days, contracts can be many, many pages. But what was remarkable about Mom is she was making as much money as my dad was. And Dad had been with, Georgia Pacific for many, many years and was a top level salesperson in there and stuff. And I couldn't figure out how she was doing it. Because what she would say is she'd say things like, well, your tuition at St. Mark's is due. I got to go out and sell a house. And I'm like, what is that? How does that work? How do you make money doing that? And so anyway, I just swore I didn't understand that I'd never, ever get into real estate. And that was my thing. I didn't want to follow what my parents had done. Just like, there's an old saying that boys never drink the same beer their dad did, right? So I didn't want to follow that path and do the same thing. But here I am,
look at you now.
33 years later.
You're in real estate.
Yeah, and having a great time. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So that was that part of my life.
So, sorry, I'm getting choked up.
He's getting choked up hearing about his old man tell stories about me growing up.
It can do that to you sometime, man. Yeah. Especially when you start telling stories that he didn't know about.
Yeah, well, that's why I had to skip the part of that time in Houston. Yeah. For those of you who want to know more about that, that'll definitely be not on this channel.
It'll be in the Cliff Notes. How about that?
That'll be in the Cliff's vault is where that's going to be. Yeah. But anyway, What else do you want to know?
Man, just trying to get to know you more, letting the audience know
Okay,
who you are.
I know you and I talked before the show, and so there was a bunch of things in between that led up, because it was really not until I got back to Dallas. We lived in Houston. You were born in Houston, right?
Right.
You remember that?
Yep,
Oh,
sure,
you're
man.
lying. You don't remember being born? You just remember living in Houston, right?
do, yep.
Okay, all right. You remember those golf clubs I bought you where you swung in the driveway and broke the window, hit the ball into the window?
Knocked out the window,
All
yeah.
right, knocked out the window. Okay, so we spent time down in Houston, and I was involved in a number of different activities down there. I've always been entrepreneurial, and I'll just tell you right now, honestly, I am unhirable. I am completely 100% unhirable. I have been my whole life. I can't recall a time really when I ever had a resume. I tried to put one together at one time, and I don't think I was very successful. So I had to do something. If you're an entrepreneur, it's definitely a roller coaster. And you ride up and down. You have the good days, the bad days, but most of us entrepreneurs all have a limp. We walk with a little bit of a limp that is really just kind of a testimony to the failure. I don't want to say failures. I really wouldn't say that, but to some of the challenges that we've had, trying to be an entrepreneur. So if you look at real estate, and I was in a position where I needed to make some money quick. I mean, what are you going to do? I didn't want to do anything illegal, right? That's totally off the plan. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to find a way that I had no limit on my income, and that I could basically start, own, and operate a business without having to have a lot of capital. And if you look at residential real estate, C3, you're getting to play with some big assets. I mean, typically, what's the biggest asset that somebody has in their life, their biggest purchase? And it's going to be their home, right?
Right.
So, and to be able to make money helping people, serving people like that, I don't have to finance the home. I don't have to buy inventory. I don't have to make anything, right? So real estate is a great way to go. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful business, and you get to really serve and help people, and it gives you those warm, fuzzy feelings. So I got back into it, after kind of staying away from it for a while. But most recently, as many of you know me from what I've been doing in the last 3 years, I've gotten back into the business with quite a splash here, and we currently have a team that C3 and I run that's got 35. We just picked up another agent or two last week, so we're about 35 agents in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we serve the whole Metroplex, and it's great. It really has turned out to be a wonderful thing. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's great stuff.
You need to take a drink. You're okay. Hey, by the way, this is nothing. There's nothing proof. No, this isn't 80 proof stuff that he's drinking in there. That's strictly no cough syrup, none of that stuff.
True enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I need something.
Nothing in there that'll kill COVID-19. That's for sure. So anyway, you and I had talked a little bit before the show about some of the things. And by the way, our audience, guys, thank you for being here and tuning in today. We really try to serve the real estate community. That's what we're all about. When I decided to get back in at this stage in my life, it really was a good opportunity for me to come from a position of service and really trying to help people. So that's what we do with our team, our group, and in fact, that's what the show is all about now, is trying to help people. So with that in mind, some of you may have noticed over here on my left-hand side, I've got 3 books here. And so what I wanted to do today was take an opportunity to share with you. These are my top 3 books. Okay, can you see that one? Look at that. All right. It's like Johnny Carson. This book right here, if you're a real estate agent and you don't have this book on your library, you need to get it like ASAP. You can order it off Amazon. It's called Exactly What to Say. And Travis, I don't know if you've ever talked to a realtor, but there's some that have the language down, and there's others who get bubbles in their mouth, when they start talking about real estate. And I can tell you, this book here, if you will read this book and practice what's in here, you will be able to communicate to your clients, have better relationships with them than anything that, I mean, it's the words really and the way you express yourself that determine how good the communication is. There's actually a field guide in here, okay, where you can reference, if you're out in the field, terms and stuff and how to answer things. You know, we on our group, on our team, we emphasize scripts and dialogues a lot, because scripts and dialogues in any kind of form of sales are really going to determine the difference between, you know, you making an average income and you know, making an exceptional income. We tend to say that somebody who's mastered the scripts and dialogues can easily make as much as $100,000 more than somebody who hasn't. So again, it's called Exactly What to Say. It looks like it's by Jones, Smith, and Macon here. I don't have my glasses on.
I think
but,
you read my mind. I was going to actually ask who's the author of that.
Yeah,
book.
that's who it is. Jones, Smith, and Mackin.
Okay.
And it says for real estate agents. This is the black book. You need to get this, okay?
Really nice.
All right, C3, you asked about another book, right? Okay. Now, what are the three things that any real estate agent has to do in order to get somebody to do business with them? They have to get that other person to know them, like them, and trust them. All right. If you read the stats put out by the National Association of Realtors, what you know is the primary reason why sellers hire a real estate agent is because that agent has trust, they're honest, they're integrous. And this book right here by Stephen Covey, and Travis, I know you're a big Stephen Covey guy. You're the one that told me about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I think, right?
Hey, that's my guy, man.
Is that's your?
I appreciate you for giving me that humble shout out too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes, sir.
So he's, Stephen Covey is a highly respected author who's written a number of good books. We just named a couple of them. But I will tell you what, this one here goes through the actual steps you need to take in order to gain the trust of the people that you're trying to do business with. This book is phenomenal. If you do not have this book, then you're really missing out. Go order it off Amazon right now. The Speed of Trust. All right, Stephen M.R. Covey. You got that? Everybody got that one written down? All right. So my last book that I'm going to recommend today is called Profit First. Now, fellow business owners out there, many of us, when we look at the profit equation, it's revenues minus expenses equals profit. So the problem with that is that profit becomes the indirect variable, where expenses are things that you manage. Now I want you to think about this. What if you rewrote that equation and instead of expenses, you flipped them around the equal sign, and the equation became revenues minus profits equal expenses. And if you look at profits first before expenses, and you develop that profit account, then your whole discipline about managing your business will change. Instead of doing things like we all say we do, we're all guilty of this, and I am especially, I always say, well, I've the reason why my profit wasn't that high last year is I reinvested in my business. Well, that's bull, okay? I'm sorry, got to call it. We've got to do a better job of managing our expenses. So this book, this guy, in fact, the first time I got introduced to this was 3 years ago, I guess, and a dear friend of mine who I used to work with in his coaching company, Real Estate B School, Lars Hedenborg, is the first person who introduced this book to me, and I want to tell you what, it has been a total game changer. I use it in coaching when I coach agents, especially those who have larger teams and so forth. We have actually turned around teams that had little or no profit, and by following these principles in here, we've been able to turn them into cash flow machines. The first thing that realtors do when they start to make more money is they start to, guess what? Spend more money, okay? And so if that's what you do, you can't spend yourself rich. Hold your hand up if you agree with that. I see Trellis has got his hand up back there, right?
I do.
You cannot, right? Isn't that right? You cannot spend yourself rich. We've tried. Everybody in here has tried. So please do yourself a favor. Do your family a favor. Pick up this book. This one's by Mike Mikolowicz, I believe is how he pronounces his last name, Mike Mikolowicz. So make sure that you get yourself a copy of that one, and you will definitely thank me for that later. Promise you. Should we give one of these books away?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Well, you act like you're doing expenses. Are we doing profits first? No, I'm just kidding. Why don't we do that? Let's give a copy of. No, wait a minute.
They gotta.
Which
you have
one?
to have some kind of like a question answered.
A question to answer? Okay. All right. What is George? Now you can't Google this. Okay.
Birth date.
What is George Washington's birth year? How about that? And it's the same thing as the square root of 3.
Oh, wow. Okay, so math has never been my strong subject, right?
Okay. Now, no cheating.
This is going to be a tough one, I think, for just about anybody.
Okay. If you can get that, the first one to put that in the comments is going to get a copy of. Which one do we want to give away, Travis? Speed of Trust, Exactly What to Say, or Profit First?
I like Profit First. I
Profit
think
First?
the idea behind that one, I'm definitely going with Profit First.
This is almost like a Dave Ramsey type thing, right? Yeah,
Right.
something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you put the correct answer, right, and if you still don't know that it's 1732, then go look it up and put the correct answer in the comments right now. If you're the first one to have it in there, we're going to send you a copy of Profit First. All right? So, man, I'm glad I got through that. I got to take a drink myself here. Thank you very much. What else you got for me there, C3?
Oh man, had a list of questions for you. I just don't know what's going on. I'm choking up. I've never been so nervous on camera, and I don't know why.
Well, don't worry. Nobody's watching, so you don't have anything to worry about. There's nobody. We don't have anybody online, do we? No, I didn't think so.
I do want to say this. Daniel Ramirez guessed it correctly. He's the first one to put it in
Daniel
the comments.
Ramirez. Now, come on. That's your
What's
boy
up, Daniel? What's up, man?
there.
Struggling on here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think one of the other things is you wanted to know some things on this show that other people don't know about me. Wasn't that one of your questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It was.
All right. Now this is where I got to stay on the right side of the road here, Travis. So is this live or is there a delay where if I say something bad, you can bleep it out?
So I can't bleep it out, but there is a delay. So they won't hear it for a couple seconds at least.
Oh, well, that doesn't help. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really help a whole lot.
All right. So, okay, Lord, help me out with this. No, I'm just kidding. So, as I mentioned, I've had a penchant for guitars and playing guitars for a long time. I mentioned that I played at Steve Miller's mother's house. And I'm very proud of my most recent acquisition. My daughter Caroline's boyfriend, Jake, Jake's dad worked at Fender for a while, so I was able to negotiate a brand new Eric Johnson Telecaster that, I'm sorry, did I say Telecaster? I meant Stratocaster. Yeah, that is the most unbelievable guitar I've ever picked up and played, so I'm really excited to get that out. The problem is just haven't had much time lately because of everything that we're involved in right now. The other thing that some people don't know about me is that I played rugby in college. And the story behind that, and again, forgive me, we've all sinned, but I actually, my sophomore year at Rice, we went to Baton Rouge to play the Tigers, right? You know the who I'm talking about, Travis.
Oh
right?
yeah, the LSU Tigers.
Go
of
Tigers,
course.
right? And we lost 77-0.
Oh wow!
Got our butts kicked.
I don't mean to laugh at you, Cliff, but that's a great school.
No, it's okay. You can laugh with me. I was laughing too. And back at that time, Rice was part of the Southwest Conference. Go Owls! And Coach Ray Alborn was there. And so we got back and I thought, you know what? I played a little football. I can kick the ball pretty good. Punters usually don't get hit very hard, right, Travis?
In most cases.
So I was thinking, man, what's the safest position that I can do and go contribute, to the football team? And I said, well, punter, I'll be a kicker. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I went out there, and during the summer, I went to Coach Alborn's office, and I said, look, you don't have to give me a scholarship. I don't want anything from you. I just want to walk on the Rice football team and try out for kicker. Is that okay? And he looked at me and he said, what are you studying? And I said, electrical engineering. And he said, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, absolutely. So he said, okay, great. Here's how you go get your shoes and your gear and all that stuff. And sure enough, I showed up for 2-a-days, right? Now, I don't know, anybody in here in the audience played football, college football, 2-a-days in the summer when they start those? Let me tell you what, in Houston in August, it's very hot, and we have to run the stadium, right? The stadium holds 77,000 people. It holds more people than everybody who ever graduated from Rice in the history of the school. Much, much bigger. And then they made you run the 100-yard sprints, and they put these 55-gallon trash cans down at the end zone line. Travis, you know what those 55-gallon trash cans were for?
What were they for?
Barfing?
It was for those boys those unwashed, undeserving boys that were out carousing around, because the drinking age was 18 back then, in the bars, and they partook in the devil's elixir the night before. Okay? So that was for them to reverse drink.
Okay.
Right? You know what that means,
Yeah,
right?
I definitely do.
Yeah. And so I did that for a couple weeks, and I thought, man, this is a hell of a lot of work just to be a kicker on a football team. And it's not very much fun. And all these guys are getting sick out here, and
Sure.
man, it's like, well, these people are hating life. And so as I was walking back to the dorm one day after practice, I looked out, and here were these guys having a great time. They were playing it looked like football, but it wasn't football, because it was half soccer and half football, and they didn't have helmets and pads on and stuff, but they had a keg of beer at the 50-yard line.
A keg of beer.
A keg of beer. Can you imagine that? A whole keg of beer. And after practice, that's what they would do. They would all go over there, and they'd finish that keg off in about 15 minutes. I mean, there was just one guy, all he was doing was pumping the beer. And I stopped one day and watched the practice and partook a little bit myself after practice. And I said, do you guys have any room for a kicker on your team? And they said, well, yeah, well, come on out. So the next day I went back with my cleats and walked into Ray Alborn's office and said, Coach, I'm sorry, but the rugby team has beer. Here are my cleats. I'm off the football team. So
Goodness.
that was kind of fun. But I'll tell you what, though, rugby is a great sport. When I was over in South Africa on a summer internship, in fact, we just got to talk to the McKenzies, Greg and his wife Regan in Johannesburg. And they're on lockdown there from COVID. But I will tell you that rugby is a huge sport over there with the Springboks, and they've won the world championship so many times I can't even tell you. Not to get off track, but I'm the one it's your show, and I'm just having fun being interviewed. So
More like it's been your show today.
well, I'm talking about myself, which I don't do very often. So
God, I've never been this way. Like I'm trying to shake it off, like shake
Yeah.
it out. For some reason, the words just aren't coming out of my mouth today. It's so frustrating. We're gonna have to do a second one of these.
we're going to do a lot more
I
of these.
butchered
yeah.
the hell out of this.
There's
interview.
something else. There's got to be something else on there that I haven't covered.
Oh, man.
We're just about out of time.
We really
got
want
time for
to
one more.
just kind of letting the audience know, just really, just who influences you now.
Who influences me now? That's a great question. Or who influenced me growing up?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so I will tell you this, and this is probably true in everybody's life. There are I remember certain parts of my life, like first grade. I remember my first grade teacher, Evelyn Boone. What a wonderful, wonderful lady. She was like a second mom to me. As you go through life, you get some of those teachers who look at you and say, you know what, you're never going to amount to crap. You're never going to be anything. And then there are those one or two teachers that really take a personal interest. And this is a shout out to all the teachers out there in the world today, because I love you. I think you guys are underpaid, and I think that the value that you create and you bring to this world is really you don't get enough credit for it.
Quintessential.
But I can name 3 or 4 teachers. I remember playing 6th grade YMCA football. I was on the second team, because we all basically sucked, and the first team was the guys that went on and played varsity. But I remember Coach Pat Howard, when I was playing quarterback, and man, he wrote a postcard. I still have the postcard when I was in 6th grade that he wrote me and said, "What a great game you played yesterday, man. You're going to go places." And it almost makes me tear up now to think about that, because there were times when I had to lean on that, just because a coach said one thing to me that gave me that confidence. And so really, there is a word here. If you're a real estate agent out here, let me give you a word. And I want to do you a favor. I want to plant a seed in you right now that hopefully we'll see in 5 years or 10 years You are special. There's something special in each and every one of you, and don't let anybody tell you you can't be successful in real estate. There is absolutely no reason why you can't be. There's nobody better. You don't have any different qualifications. You don't need different qualifications. If you've got a heart and you're willing to do the work, you can do it. You need to just find the right mentor, the right coach, go seek that person out, and that person too shall help you get across. The next teacher I had was in college, Dr. Leeds. Dr. Leeds was electrical engineering. And this was when I was going through some tough times in life, and I dropped out of Rice to go run clubs, nightclubs, the biggest nightclub in Houston. That's another show. But anyway, I decided to come back, and I went back to Dr. Lee's, and I, kind of with my hat in my hand, my tail between my legs, and I said, "Look, sir, I messed up. I want to come back, and it's by the grace of God and the grace of J. Venn Leeds, Dr. Leeds. He's no longer with us, but he got behind me, let me teach classes in college for his engineering courses and stuff, and that's what really enabled me to get through. So there's always somebody. We never get where we want to be by ourselves, guys. There's always somebody that gives us a hand. It's a hand up, not a fist down, but somebody's there to help us. So just be receptive. It's not human nature to ask for help, but by golly, if you can learn to ask for help at the right time, then it sure pays off. So we're out of time, Travis. What are we doing
That's
here?
nice.
You going to charge me overtime?
Not at all, man.
No?
Especially when you're giving out that good sound advice, man. That's some really great advice.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, knowing what you know now, having experienced what you have experienced back then, what would you do differently back then, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because thank God we don't know what we know. I mean, we don't know what we don't know back then.
Hey, but you're a pretty smart dude.
But that's half the fun, is the ride, man. The
ride?
I mean, you got to enjoy the journey. You can't look back with any regrets. And I wouldn't change a thing, except I would have joined EXP earlier. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would have.
That's true, yeah.
I didn't know about it. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
But literally, if you look back with regrets in your life, you're looking at it from the wrong angle. You should be thankful for every hard thing you've ever done, because all it's done is it's given you feedback and it's made you better.
Right.
Be grateful for the tough times. Be thankful that somebody reached out to help pick you up when you needed it that time. I owe so much to my church. I've got so many great friends, godly friends, that I go to and I seek advice, when I have big family decisions to make and things like that. I learned to let go and let
God.
It's like
Let go
raise
and
your
let
right
God.
hand, repeat
like
after
Joel-
me.
yeah, what does
I
Joel
hereby
say?
resign as master of the universe. God's in charge, and I ain't doing it anymore, right?
Right.
That was a country preacher we listened to at Prestonwood one time. But
That's exactly right.
the reality is that there is nothing, and don't let anybody ever tell you that there's anything that you can't do. And if I despise teachers, I'm talking to the teachers as a group, but every once in a while there's a teacher that will say, you're not going to amount to anything and you're not going to be any good, and you need to just flush that right down the toilet, because that is absolutely not true. Right on?
That's solid.
That's C2's advice of the day, is don't ever let anybody get in the way of your success.
I like
right?
it. I like
Amen.
it.
Solid.
I like it. I heard one time too, you can't have a testimony without a test first. So
You know what? Sometimes here's the deal. This is what Michael Perrin shared with me, or was it Mike Fetchner? It might have been
Mike Fetchner.
I think it was Fetchner,
Yeah.
bless his heart, before he passed away. But he said sometimes God has got to take you down to the bottom so that you'll know who the rock at the bottom is. Right?
I like it.
Can I have an amen on that one?
That's a good way to cap it.
Yeah, exactly. Gives me goosebumps too.
Laying it down.
Yeah, raining down. So who won the book? Daniel Ramirez.
Daniel, I'll be sure to get
Congratulations,
that to Daniel. Yeah.
we're gonna hook Daniel's over. Did he move back to Dallas now?
He's
living
at
in
the Katy
uptown?
here, right behind us, actually.
Oh, he
Just
is?
a little further
Okay.
down.
Yeah,
Yep.
awesome. We'll have
I've
to
been
look
meaning
him
to
up.
get together with him and catch up with him. He's actually started a new real estate group, so I'm excited for him and his new business partner. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
EXP Realty, baby, you're killing it. I love it, Daniel.
Yep,
So-
absolutely. Hey, and by the way, a quick plug for the team. If you're a frustrated agent out there, you're not getting the leads, you're not getting the coaching, the training, the mentoring that you need, come see us. Just have a conversation with us. You can reach C3 or me. You can find us anywhere. We're on Google, Facebook. My cell number, 214-680-5403. Give me a call. And we'd love to hear from you. We're here. We love supporting agents. We love helping you grow to self-actualize. And so give us a ring, get a hold of us. We'd love to do some work with you. Okay.
And we got part 2 coming up because
Part
I
2?
butchered it. So we're going to
do
actually
part
get to
2?
the questions this time and get through it. I'm
All
finally
right.
catching my
You did
legs.
a great job, man.
Hey, thanks for the
you know
moral
what?
support. I really
Yeah,
love it.
Absolutely. That's all right. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, you want to sign off for us?
Memorial Day weekend.
It's Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
Very cool. Got any plans?
No, I don't. I'm just going to sit and hope it doesn't rain.
I think a little
enjoy
real
the
estate might
fam-
be in our
We do
future.
have. We've got one of our family is graduating.
Ooh,
having a
graduation party, that's right, yep.
From the University of Texas McComb School of Business, Masters of Accounting, Sierra
She's a
Hawkins.
badass.
She is smarter than the average bear. Let me tell
Tell you what, she's going places. That's for sure.
She sure is.
But
yeah.
what is it? Good golf, good tennis.
Good golf, good tennis, or whatever makes you happy. We'll see you next week on Cliff's Notes.